The Conjuring is a film about the events of a family who move to a house haunted by malicious spirits. However, very few people know the events that actually took place. Today we explore the true story of the Perron family haunting. During the winter of 1970, Roger and Carolyn Perron and their 5 daughters moved to a farmhouse in Harrisville, Rhode Island. The 200-acre piece of land, also known as the Old Arnold Estate, was made in 1736 and was where the Perrons would stay for an intense 10 years. But it wasn't long before the dwelling spirits of the property made themselves known. At first, the spirits the Perrons encountered were friendly and would watch the children play and even interact with them from time to time, though after a while the phenomenon took a different turn. Paranormal things started happening around the house, particularly at night, such as strange noises throughout the house, pictures falling off the walls for no apparent reason, and levitating items. Even the beds would start floating above the floor. Various spirits would often wander about the halls of the house, usually children's spirits, and say things keeping the family up at night. But only one presence in particular made this home a truly dark place. This entity, known as Bathsheba, targeted the mother Carolyn out of a malicious jealousy and physically harmed her as much as possible. At one point during Carolyn's sleep, Bathsheba woke her up telling her, quote, get out, I'll drive you out with death and gloom." The entity is described as a hideous woman with her head leaning to the side as if it had been snapped. Carolyn also claimed she was stabbed by what felt like a sewing needle. At this point, instead of continuing to hurt the mother physically, Bathsheba then harmed her from the inside by possession. Now, the sewing needle is significant due to the claims of who Bathsheba was as a person when still alive. Bathsheba Sherman, originally Bathsheba Thayer, was born on 1812 in Rhode Island. On March 10, 1844, Bathsheba married Judson Sherman and moved to the Arnold Estate. During their time together, Bathsheba bore a son named Herbert L. Sherman. It's believed that Bathsheba had 3 other children, all in which died during childhood, which sparked rumors of Bathsheba being a witch, sacrificing one of her children to Satan. The reason for these rumors is that when a child that had died while in her care was examined, authorities came to the conclusion that she had been stabbed in the head with a sewing needle. Even with all of this, Bathsheba was found not guilty of these accusations. She died in the spring of 1885. Some say she hung herself. This is a photo that is claimed to be a picture of Bathsheba. The woman in the middle, wearing what seems to be a surgical mask, is said to be her, though no evidence points to this. When the Warrens first entered the home, Lorraine could sense the dark entity attached to Carolyn. The Warrens then performed cleansings all throughout the house, but their efforts actually agitated the spirits more instead of solve the problem. In the movie, the Warrens performed an exorcism on Carolyn, but in reality, Ed and Lorraine Warren actually performed a seance. Andrea, the eldest child, explained, quote, "They did a seance that went terribly wrong and they opened a door they were not able to close that night." After that, the father, Roger, kicked both Ed and Lorraine out of the house. Due to financial restraints, the Perrons weren't able to move out of the house for another 7 years. When finally able to leave, the family moved to Georgia, where the paranormal happenings still followed them. In 2011, Andrea wrote her 3-part book series called House of Darkness, House of Light. And in 2013, the film The Conjuring, directed by James Wan, was made with a small budget of $20 million. The film became a massive success, making over $300 million worldwide. During the making of this film, Lorraine Warren actually got to go on the set to help the filmmakers create a more realistic portrayal of this story. And according to the Perron family, this movie was an accurate depiction of the events that took place.